The following program is brought to you with limited commercial interruption.
Today's broadcast is being simulcast in broken English.
I'm here to show the world. I'm here to show the world.
Welcome to the show that we're doing right now.
What the hell are we doing on this show?
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Let's go.
What is this?
Giggity, 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 goo.
Who else but
The Q.
it's showtime?
Gentlemen, let's get down to business.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yeah, I can dig it, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the QNow. You're listening to the best pop culture, current events, current affairs show, east or west of that Mississippi River, hailing from the great city of St. Louis and worldwide at theqnow.com. I am your host, Mark Bland. As always, joined today by my co-host, one Mr. Jason Cole. There you are.
I made it.
Hi, Jay. How you doing, buddy?
Fantastic.
Welcome back to the Q Now. You'll listen to us on 1280 AM KYRO News Radio, KYRO.com, or 102.5 FM WIBH, respectively.
That's a lot of
and
letters.
you can listen to us every single Saturday, 1 to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time here on the show. Now, we have a very interesting show today, Jason. Roy Caston and Courtney Dowdle are here to discuss KDHX and what the hell is happening in this STL institution. We're going to discuss that. Trump grabbed a bunch of states in Super Tuesday, but the numbers are not vibing for him, at least not that I'm seeing. And this it's National Procrastination Week, Jay.
Let's wait.
It is. So why do we keep putting things off? Because what?
Lazy.
Because we're lazy. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen,
Depends,
welcome.
though. Some stuff you want to do.
That's true. That is very true.
Most stuff you don't.
That's true. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to waste any time, and I do want to bring these two lovely individuals on. Please welcome to the Q Now, one, Mr. Roy Caston, as well as Courtney Dowdle. Welcome to the show, guys. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And
Thanks for coming into a small room with us with the door shut.
yeah, exactly, so that we can all sit here and talk to each other. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about this, okay? We've got these guys. I'm not sure how long we're going to be here talking, but like me and Roy said, we'll play it by ear. We're going to have some fun, and we're going to discuss a lot of what's going on. But before we get into this, Roy, the Q Now is classically a political radio show.
Right on.
That is what we discuss here. National politics. Not too much local stuff. We do get into local here and there every once in a while when Jen is on, and she brings some lovely individual to come on here and talk with us about just having a normal sense of normalcy in your life. Having a direct path. Something where you don't need Bigfoot. You don't need to find aliens. You can just live your life. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do over here. Roy, you and Courtney, both of you, I'd love to talk and find out first, one, politically, if we were to say on the spectrum where you might be, where would you say that you fall?
On the spectrum.
I'm probably somewhere left of Bernie Sanders.
Left of Bernie Sanders. So he is
power move.
He is the state of Vermont at this
That's
point.
a power
That's
move,
literally
right?
Like he's
That's
literally live
waffles.
free or die. Like when they
That's
put
the
that as
waffles
the
of
state.
liberalism.
Is that Vermont? Which one's live free or die? Is that New
I think that's
Hampshire?
New Hampshire.
Whatever. When they put
It's
that
all
on
the
a
same up there.
all those
They all
states up
love
there are the
waffles
same.
and
Like
syrup.
that was you, right? Live free or die,
That's
right?
awesome.
Yeah.
It was just that. Now,
awesome.
Courtney, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
If you want to go ahead, you can get close to that mic. It ain't gonna hurt you. Oh, you're fine. Oh, I see. I see. You know what? If you got to take that off to get over there, that's fine. You can hear me still. I'm not going to hold that against you. So my question I had for you is where would you say you fall on the political spectrum? Because let's be honest, the topic we're getting ready to talk about touches a lot of different aspects of life in the St. Louis area, correct? So I feel like there's people from all walks of life involved in this. So let's kind of get a general malaise of where everybody's at. Where would you say you stand?
I'm a big Bernie fan.
You're a big Bernie fan, too. Live free or die. That is Courtney.
Yes.
Live free or die.
She's
That
like,
is
live
Roy.
free, but like
She could just be live free.
cool.
Yeah, it could be live free.
Like, you don't have to die, but maybe just be cool. Like super cool.
Super cool.
And then that's cool. And we're cool. That's how you end it.
I'm a Cardinals fan. He's got a Cubs hat on,
Right?
so you
And
can
I
already
haven't-
see where we're
I
at.
haven't stabbed him once.
We're not. Yeah, we're
Not
we're
even
not.
close. Not even on an accident.
Now, the reason that these two are here, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't mind getting into this topic right off the back because let's give it the just time and dessert that it deserves. Okay. In a recent KDHX election, the situation has raised eyebrows. The board, which oversees the community radio station, has put forth only one candidate, Karen Haddix, for the upcoming board member vote. This move has drawn criticism, with some labeling it a mockery of democracy. Normally, KDHX bylaws allow volunteers to nominate potential board members, but this year the board implemented a vetting process that narrowed down the nominees to just one individual. The League of Volunteer Enthusiasts, LOVE, that's LOVE for all of you out there, of KDHX, a nonprofit formed in response to the station's firing of numerous volunteer DJs, expressed concern about the lack of meaningful representation for the volunteers on the board. Despite other nominees like Kip Louis and James Williams, the election proceeded with only one candidate, leaving the volunteers feeling excluded from the decision-making process. The situation highlights tensions within the organization and questions about transparency and the democratic processes that are being involved in this situation. Now, the reason that we have these two wonderful individuals here, Jason, is that Roy and Courtney are at the center, or part of the center, of this controversy that is going on. And this is just the newest piece of a long thing that's been going on. And we talked off air just a little bit briefly. And you said, Roy, 2019 is kind of when everybody started to see the cracks in the wall.
Yeah.
Is when everything started to kind of slowly start to go downhill a little bit. And from there, obviously we had COVID and the response to COVID and everybody's opinion of it. And everybody was on high alert. And probably a lot of the things we're getting ready to talk about are happening during that time period too. So you got to add all of that stress and everything on top of it. I'm sure people got out of sorts a little bit. Now, Roy, let's talk about you first.
Sure.
You're a broadcaster, correct?
Yeah.
You have been on KDHX for how many years?
19.
You were on for 19 years. Now, are you currently on KDHX or not?
No, I was fired in September of 2023. Now, I should be clear about this. KDHX is a not-for-profit public media community radio station, so all of the DJs, all the programmers there are volunteers.
Right. Nobody gets paid.
Nobody gets paid. There is paid staff.
Sure, paid staff to make sure they run the business, but
the programmers like myself, we had a contract. I had a contract that I tried to follow the best of my ability, but I was never paid to be on air. That being said, I would still say it's fair to say that I was fired in September of 2023, along with, at that time, 9 other of my colleagues, and there were 3 other DJs that were fired prior to me.
Absolute jerks. Let me explain. Give me 1 second, Roy.
Sure.
I might need to go over here to the Mark Bland room for a second to look at Jason and have a discussion real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Bland is quite familiar with the KDHX of the world. And our friend Roy being fired as a volunteer, along with any other volunteers, which would be all of them that were fired or let go unceremoniously. Let me explain. You see, radio is a very ego-driven business. It has been since the earliest days. And I was of a much more beautiful stance when I was a much younger gentleman. Offered opportunities to be on TV and to do radio and to be the star that you are supposed to be in this world. But then I realized I don't care about fame. I care about power.
There you go.
Influence. And you see, people who work in management at radio stations understand how influence and power works. They understand that the people listen to and hear on the day-to-day are the ones that physically move the needle. They are the ones who drive the business. So a young Mark Bland in 2007, not super young, I was 31. I had already had a career since 94. I'd been 14 years to that point deep into my radio and TV broadcasting career. Syndicated, all kinds of fun things, millions of everybody's, right? Twitter verified eventually, right? Remember?
Yes.
Remember back in the day, back when Elon, nobody
Back before the
cared.
purge.
Elon lived in California. He didn't move to Texas yet, remember? He didn't have Twitter control, like back when everybody who was well-known was just well-known.
Like Twitter, it's like there's a point where you notice he woke up and it was like, I got to pay what?
Yeah,
He's
exactly,
like,
exactly.
Next day, it's like $8.
Well, that's what happens when you pull
Why do
your
I have to
phone
pay
out at 2 o'clock in the
$8?
morning and say stupid things online.
Right.
That's your own fault, okay? Now, with that being stated,
He's lost billions for millionaires.
let's get back to KDHX. So in 2007, a young Mark Bland is in between radio and TV jobs and everything else. He goes, hey, you know it'd be great, Roy. Now, Roy, let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
Where are you born and raised?
Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, you're from Chicago, like a Cubs fan?
Man,
I was. I
was the dude.
Cubs all the way.
Man.
You're born and raised in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
19-year career on KDHX, correct, sir?
Yeah.
This Roy guy and I are about to have a stepbrothers.
Hold on. Yep, you guys are. Let me put a pin in that right there for everybody. We're just going to leave that hanging on the board. Roy, KDHX, from Chicago, Illinois, 19-year career, KDHX. Okay. St. Louis station, correct? KDHX?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Very much into the whole St. Louis vibe, the local vibe, the local
Absolutely.
flavor, the people of St. Louis.
Yep.
It
2000
smells like ravioli in there.
2007, Jason.
Yes.
I go over to the KDHX studios, and I go to whoever it was at the time. I feel like there was like a Mexican gentleman that was running things or involved with the management of the station.
The
Somebody
unpaid king.
that background, if I remember correct. But many years ago, guys. Like, we're talking like I got to run back the reel here. It's not like I got the names off the top of my head. But the young Mark Bland has a conversation with KDHX where I come to them and I say, hey, listen. I started on radio, Q106.5, this station, that station. I've been with this guy on TV with KMOV. I mean, blah, blah, blah. Come on. In fact, at the time, I was still on TV with KMOV every single Saturday. Me and Paul Cook and a bunch of other people. Like, we did a show. Like, it was fantastic. So I'm like, hey, I'm on TV. I can come here. I want to do a music show. Because I eventually became a president with Universal Music Group on the hip-hop side of things. So I wanted to do a hip-hop show, and I knew this guy named Needles. He happened to be a hip-hop DJ. He happened to be a hip-hop DJ, and we just happened to know a lot of the same people, like Finsta and everybody, and we all used to run around together, and we used to, so I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. Mark knows hip-hop. They don't have this going on the station. Let me try this right here. I want to do something cool. I was basically told by management at KDHX at the time that I might not be what they consider St. Louis enough.
I think that was code.
It wasn't specifically said that way, but the vibe that was put off and the way
do one of these?
as I walked out the doors of KDHX was, you're not St. Louis enough. Let's quick change real quick to 2024, ladies and gentlemen. How about the weekend of March? I don't know. Let's see. What's this weekend?
9th.
Oh, the 8th or 9th. Yeah, let's go to the 8th or the 9th of March 2024.
Yes.
I have a 19-year radio vet from Chicago, Illinois. By the way, Mark Bland, born and raised in Florissant, Missouri, lived in St. Louis 47 years of his life, wearing a Cardinals shirt. Roy Caston, nothing against Roy, great guy, Chicago, Illinois.
Woo.
Mark Bland's co-host, Chicago, Illinois.
No,
None of this
Southern
is working.
Iowa.
Southern Iowa. Whatever, it doesn't matter. That's
My
just as boring.
grandfather
That's just as
Chicago,
boring.
Illinois. My
That's just
grandfather
as
lived
boring.
like 4 blocks from Wrigley.
It seems that somebody at that time was making bad decisions at KDHX too, because now I have 2 KDHX members sitting in my studio discussing how bad the management decisions of KDHX are, telling me how they are being treated as volunteers who are getting fired after, by the way, 19 years of putting time and effort in simply to make them look good. And by the way, what kind of show did you host, Roy?
I did a 3-hour music program of sort of rock and soul and Americana Wednesday mornings from 7 to 10.
Favorite music group?
Yeah. My favorite music group?
Yes.
Probably the Rolling Stones.
Fair enough.
That's a good one.
Fair enough. I do like it. What about you, Courtney? Favorite music group? You look a little younger. Go ahead. Hit him up. Hit us up. We know a lot of stuff. We know a lot of stuff.
I'm really into the OCs right now.
To the who?
OCs.
The OCs.
The OCs. I don't know if I know the OCs.
Check them out.
We might bring us back from our next
Imagine,
segment with the OCs.
Imagine being the
I'm down for
Rolling
this.
Stones in like 1971, but you're evil. The things that you could
So
do.
you'll hire a
Like
biker.
you're
So you
evil.
hire a biker club to
I said
murder your
evil,
people
not
at the
stupid.
concert.
that was dumb.
It was dumb.
Could you imagine? Like, hey,
All right.
let's give the Hell's Angels a bunch of beer.
And now,
That's how
Courtney,
we'll pay
real
them
quick, where are
to
you from?
guard
Are you from
everyone.
St. Louis?
I'm from St. Charles.
You're from St. Charles, born and raised?
Counties,
Yes.
counties.
Born and raised?
Yep.
So you live out that way?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, she's like, no, I moved way back.
Yes.
Right back into the city.
Correct.
That's where I'm staying. All right, so here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We have now introduced you to Roy. We've introduced you to our friend Courtney. And you guys have heard my story of how I was unceremoniously I don't even know how to say it. Like, I was just
Weasels.
like
You were weaseled.
bumped out.
Weaseled by a weasel.
And 14 years
Doing
in my
weasel stuff.
by the way, 14 years into my career at that point, everything before them I got paid to do. I was coming to them hat in hand like,
Yeah.
I'm on TV and I'll do
wanted
this
to
for you
work
for
on
free.
something.
And we can all work together. And I eventually going to be a president. And it's going to be great. I got music artists that'll just come sit right here. They'll just talk like, nope.
The first
Didn't matter.
interviews of people before
They didn't
broke.
care. They didn't care. All right. What's that again?
Did you ever do the science hip hop spins?
The science? No. I did. I think I had gone over there one time with another rapper and hung out, but no, I had never really gone and done it. I just knew Needles personally from around the clubs and working and stuff like this, and I had a show that was at the High Point, and we'll get into all that later. Listen, we're going to take a quick break right here on the show, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we're going to get into this KDHX stuff. Me and Roy and Courtney and Jason are going to talk to you. We're going to find out how this started, what's going on, and where we go from here, because it's quite a big story. So we'll be back right after this. 1280 a.m. KYRO, News Radio, KYRO.com. Mark Bland. All I have to do is hear the post once. And we're good. So, welcome back to the QNow. Jason Call's sitting right over there. I've got Courtney Dowdle and Roy Caston with me, hanging out. They are former employees of KDHX. And let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen. This is a story that's been going on here in the St. Louis area for a while. Roy, let's start with you on this one. Obviously, you said that you felt things had started to slip away in 2019. And let's get back to the beginnings of all this. Tell me how this starts. Give me a little bit of a running timeline between 2019 and today.
Yeah.
So that people kind of have a background.
Well, I probably should go back just maybe a little bit earlier. So folks who aren't familiar, so KDHX first went on air in October 1987.
Yep.
As you might call it kind of a free-form, music-oriented program that also had a lot of public affair talk programs that were wonderful. And it continued, and it was primarily funded by donations from listeners and supported by the community. And we had a small studio in South St. Louis, and it was a former bakery. It was literally sort of built and renovated by volunteers, and it kind of worked.
Yeah.
And then in, I think it would probably be 2012, KDHX moved to Grand Center and into a new building, and it was a beautiful building, fantastic resources, a big move for KDHX, but it was also very expensive.
And held by donor support at the time.
Yes. So very expensive, a lot of debt incurred, and the executive director at the time was let go for various reasons. And a new executive director came on, who's the current executive director, Kelly Wells. And
Now, had Kelly worked there prior to this at all? Was she involved with the station? Or?
Yes, she was director of the folk school and was also, I think, director of engagement. So she was involved in the station. And then she was sort of elevated to the executive director level during a period of financial crisis. Okay, so all of that's happening around 2015, 2016. In 2018, the board of KDHX, this is the governing board that oversees the not really the operations, but the governance of the station. Make sure that it is financially secure and sound, and that it's sort of headed in a positive direction.
Running
for
on the
community.
right feet. Yes.
Exactly. Decided to revise the bylaws of the station without the support of the community or the acknowledgement of the volunteers.
Now, who was this again that did this?
This is the board of directors.
The board of directors. Now, how many people are on the board?
Well, there were
At the time,
I think probably between 12 and 15.
So 12 to 15 individuals who are also volunteering their time to be a part of this board of directors, because everything is outside of station hire for running the station day to day. Everybody is a volunteer to an extent.
Yeah.
So you have 15 people, and all 15 of these people make a decision on behalf of all these other people who work at the station, and they're like, we're going to do this over here.
Yeah. So the bylaws were completely redone, and then they were presented to the volunteers at their annual meeting and said, hey, how do you like these new bylaws? People were scratching their head. Where did these come from? Why did you make all these changes? So a lot of the changes were dramatic and significant, and led to, I think, the current crisis, because basically the changes consolidated power in the hands of the board and in the hands of the executive director, and allowed them to do lots of things that members of the community and other volunteers objected to.
And that starts in 2019, where they start to make these decisions, these moves.
And the significant decisions that happened then in 2019 included firing of staff who had criticized and objected to the actions of the executive director. This was widely reported at the time.
Is this Papa?
No,
this is Papa Ray?
This is way before that.
This is before Papa Ray.
So there were staff members who had been hired recently, and they were African American staff members.
Okay,
and they made credible accusations against the executive director of racism and harassment. Now, this was widely reported in the media.
Now, was this a general malaise against a lot of individuals who are of African American descent at the station at the time, or was there a specific person or an incident that was focused on as like this person was attacked or there was racism towards this person?
I would say that people want to read the reports in the St. Louis Public Radio's coverage, Post-Dispatch, and the Riverfront Times that kind of detail all of that.
That's fair.
But there were specific allegations against the executive director for her treatment of staff. And they were all credible.
And is this Miss Wells? This is Miss Wells? Okay.
Yes. The board did an investigation. They confirmed a few of the allegations, but they were unable to substantiate others. However, the folks that were fired said that they were never contacted by the bodies that did the investigation.
If you could put a pin in that real quick 1 second. I got a quick question for my buddy Jason over here real quick. Hey, Jay, real quick question for you, buddy. So, do you know somebody else who, when they don't get their way, fires people and even became famous for saying, you're fired, and then tries to change laws and tries to usurp situations in a racist, fascist way? Anybody strike your mind?
I got arrested so black people can relate.
Okay, sorry,
That's
guys.
the president.
I was just curious if Jason knew anyone like that, you know. So we have an individual who had accusations leveled against them. Obviously, you feel, and many others felt, that these were credible accusations. This individual also did not step down. And when you don't step down, you start firing people and you start changing the laws and the rules. Now, that doesn't mean said individual went down that specific road. I will ask you this. How many staff members do you think have been now let go from KDHX, volunteers, all of them, during this situation? How many people do you think have rolled over or gone out?
Well, in 2019, it was 3 staff members, I believe.
Okay.
And there were some volunteers as well who resigned in solidarity. And at the time, a number of volunteers, DJs like myself, we started to meet to figure out what we could do about it. And we were coming up with a statement and a plan, but then COVID happened. That's not an excuse. We should have worked harder at the time, but it
put a lot of things on hold for a lot of people. So don't take it.
It kind of upended us, but we should have continued and pursued it. Fast forward 3 years to 2023 in about really a year ago. So
now, mind you, you said that this all starts back then, right? And so like now you got 2021, 2022, coming out of COVID. People are getting back together. They're going to the station. But she's still in this position. She hasn't stepped down or resigned, as well as you guys haven't been able to get her moved out of the situation. Is everybody at this point over this multi-year section that you're talking about, are they just kind of like dealing with it every day? Like, is it just like a trudge or something? Is everybody just being quiet around each other? How's that?
There was some of that, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And the COVID broadcasting was weird, as you probably remember.
Sure.
It was like we were doing all of our broadcasting from home. Like I was pre-recording my show, couldn't go into the station, and that was the right thing to do. We made it through. We came back. And in February a year ago, one of the longest-serving DJs and programmers, literally one of the founders of the radio station, Tom Paparay.
Know him?
Folks maybe know, is also owner of Vintage Vinyl.
Love that man's store.
Musician and a fixture in the St. Louis blues community.
Very much so.
Was fired by Kelly Wells and accused of, wait for it, harassment and bullying.
He was accused of
harassment and bullying.
Now, was it towards her? Is that what she was saying? She was feeling harassed and bullied?
The claim was that it was a long-standing pattern of abuse that had been happening, but I think it would be safe to say that,
now,
yes.
You knew Tom for many years because you worked with him at the same station.
Yeah.
And I've known Tom for many years, and I mean, I'm not like probably as close of friends as you are with him. You've probably had a lot more conversations than I ever have. Mine have always been musical based. When I'm down at his store doing a record signing or whatever with an artist, or general chit chat about business. So I don't know him on a personal note, but I never got the feeling ever from talking to Tom that he would ever harass anyone. Like that just doesn't seem like his style. There's a lot of styles to people out there, right? You hear the way they talk, you hear the way they are. Hey, you guys just met me. You might see that I have a little bit of an ADHD kind of vibe to me, a little bit of a loose cannon shot, but I also can back it up. And that's the beauty of this situation is like you can learn about people real quick. I might put you guys on your heels. I might make you feel right now like this. But do you get the vibe from me that I'm walking around bullying people? Probably not. Okay. You give off a vibe if you give off a vibe is what I'm trying to say. You just met me, and if I gave off that vibe, you'd catch it. Like, vibes give themselves off. You know what I'm saying? So
there are people in the news that do stuff, and you're like, yep. I can do that.
Oh, exactly.
I can totally see they did that.
How many times have we come on the show, and when they say this allegation came out of Donald Trump, we're just like,
he did that. And totally would say that. Totally would act like that. There's no, you can't make that up. That's how he is.
You can't make that up. Now,
like he's scripted himself.
KDHX has lost all these volunteers. From what I read, they've lost a quarter to a third of their donors.
Yeah, the executive director has said over a third of their donor base is gone.
Over a third of their donor base is gone. Now, that's money. That's money that helped them get to Grand Center at one time. That's money to help pay for that staff that wants to be in that position. Kelly, I'm talking about you. And by the way, Miss Wells, Kelly Wells, correct?
Yeah.
You are more than welcome to come on to the QNow anytime and sit down with me and Jason over here and sit at the same mic that Roy has, and you can put your case out there in front of us the same way they are. I have absolutely no problem with that. And by the way, I see the heads shaking on both Courtney as well as Roy. They're absolutely cool with that too.
Oh, yeah.
You be their guest. But so now we're here. Papa Ray gets axed.
Like, there's a couple of cool
Roy.
named people in this story, you know?
Roy, now-
Like, she's got an 80s porn star name, like
True.
Kelly Wells.
Yeah.
Like, that's
a good point.
That's
That's a good
straight
point.
up, like, 1987 hot porn
She
chick.
is not
That's
a porn
starring
star.
Peter
Nope.
North and Kelly Wells.
She is not a porn
Man
star
shot
at
4.
all. She is not a porn star at all. And
No, I'm
she
not
is-
saying she
we
is.
We do not think
I'm
that she
saying
does
that
porn.
name.
We don't. We don't think
Like,
she does.
the names of the people involved are epic. It's a fantastic story.
That's a good point. Now, you leave in September of 2023.
Yep, I'm fired in September 2023.
Is that right around the same times as Papa, or is that before, after?
So Tom was fired, I think, either the first day of March in 2023, so basically a year ago.
Okay.
And then 2 more DJs were fired after that.
Okay.
Dre Stein and Andy Coco, so 2 long, veteran DJs. They were accused, not of a harassment, but they were accused of, quote unquote, defunding the station.
Oh, okay.
Both of them deny it. But they were outspoken, not on air, but they were outspoken in the community and on their own maybe personal social media platforms about how they objected to what was happening at the station.
I see.
So they were axed. And then in September, 10 more DJs were fired after writing a public statement of no confidence in the executive director. And that is kind of brought us to the crisis that we're still in.
And that is why we have Courtney Dowdle sitting here, because Courtney now is a part of the next piece of this whole situation, which is the story that started this off when we first brought it up at the beginning. The whole idea of the board members in the sitting positions. And what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break here on the QNow. When we come back, I'm going to have more with Roy, of course, as well as Courtney. And we're going to figure out what's going on with this whole new situation, because it's another turn in this weird amalgamation of multiple individuals and hundreds of people at this point. It's like a snowball rolling down with an avalanche just following behind it. It's kind of crazy. It really is. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back on the Q Now right after this. $12:80 a.m. at KYRO. Welcome back to the Q Now. Roy Caston, Courtney Dowdle, formerly of KDHX, now of their house, now of where they live.
Pretty much.
What they do. Jason Cole's here also.
Yes.
We're talking to them about the situation at KDHX, the St. Louis community who supports KDHX, the community I was born and raised in 47 years ago. Listen, they are in the middle of a problem because they have hierarchy at the radio station who has been sitting in this position, Kelly Wells. And she has allegations leveled against her about racism,
harassment.
Then Papa Ray's getting fired over here for
I did
bullying,
sounds cool.
right? And other things like that. And we talked about a little bit off the air. You know, as a professional in this business, I understand the way a station runs, the way the vibe is of a radio station. And when you lose somebody of an iconic stature like a Tom Papa Ray, you know what I'm saying? Like, when that happens, it changes the way people feel. It changes the way that the days of the week work at a station, the vibe of the station. People will not have the same kind of bounce in their step, you know, especially when you get a nice, well-oiled machine. And for many years there, by the way, a lot of people might not know this. And Roy, you can be the one to back me up on this if this is true or not. It's only been since 2010. Really, the station's been around since 87, like you said. But in the 2010s, in the teens, that's when I started to see more and more people throughout the St. Louis area, into the counties and everything, talk about KDHX. I listened to this show. I listened to that show. Also, Lindenwood's radio station got a lot of love going down over the last 7 to 10 years. And this is a real issue for these two because you're really starting to grab some traction in that regard. You're starting to get that community love. Everybody's starting to hold on to you. They're starting to bring you in and go, hey, I love this show. Hey, I like that show. They're talking about a new show that's going to be coming out here. Like, everybody's on that. And then along comes this individual. They change the rules up. They change the board up. They move this over here. They take position over here. They change the laws. They change the rules. They fire this person, get rid of all the volunteers. And before you know it, nothing is the way it was 5 years ago, guys. 5 years ago. We talk about COVID like, oh, my God, that year and a half that we really, hammered down.
Just a little bit ago.
That was just a little bit ago. Guys, COVID wasn't even 5 years ago. That's what I'm trying to explain. We're talking about not long periods of time.
Oh, yeah.
5 full years to ruin an entire radio station and bring it to its knees. Now, Courtney, if you want to jump on that mic for a second there, I'd love to talk to you for a minute here. You come into this whole situation because you were put up by the volunteers, the members of the community that were a part of KDHX, at least, I guess, at the time. We're at the time you were working with them. It wasn't after the fact, or it wasn't when they were trying to do a special election. This was a board thing coming up that you were put up as a member for, correct?
Yes, actually, it was a special election.
It was a special election? Okay, that's what I was curious about. Now, explain to me what happens in this whole situation. How do you get involved, and tell me about how it falls apart.
So I have never worked at KDHX.
Okay, that's fair.
I've been a donor, a listener, a volunteer.
You've been everything but.
I've participated in the steering committee for the strategic plan that they put together in 2019 following that whole kerfuffle.
Okay.
That's been my involvement in the station.
Okay. So you do have background working with the station in a direct way. So
I stopped as a donor in 2020.
Okay.
After that whole situation. After Authentic left the air, and I talked with Nappy Needles, James Pico, about that situation, and that just confirmed that decision to leave as a donor. After a lot of heartbreak, I'd been a donor since I was 15 years old, 25 years.
So you've been really putting it in. When I brought up Lindenwood, do you used to rock that one too?
Not
behind the scenes, not as much. That's okay.
A little bit in my friend's garage.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, so do the people come to you because they felt that you, or did you say, hey, I want to do this? How did this come about?
No, one of the DJs asked if I would be willing to be nominated as a board member.
So once again, another volunteer situation.
Yes.
Would you be willing to take your personal time?
Yes.
That you only have so much of, like the rest of us, right? A breath here and a breath here, and then we're gone. Okay? Mm-hmm. So you only have so many breaths. Mm-hmm. You're going to waste them working for the station. At least now, in hindsight, we could say waste, because the way that they're acting, the way that this is going down, it would have been a waste of your time. And you get put up as an option along with another individual, correct?
Two other individuals.
What are their names?
Kip Louie and Darian Wigfall.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
And I know Darian. Darian's been on the QNow
He's a great guy.
Before. Well, I've known Darian for years. He's a great dude. He's a great dude. Ran a record label.
He was a former DJ. I think Kip was a former DJ as well.
Yes, Darian's a great dude. Now,
yes.
All three of you were supposed to be on the board, or you were up to be put onto the board, or how did you get the notice? How did you get told,
well,
this ain't happening?
We all attended the special election. We all made our statements. We got asked some questions in front of the group. There was a vote, which we were around for, didn't participate in. That I believe we were all three pretty unanimously elected to be on the board.
Fair enough.
But that meeting was declared, correct me if I'm out of turn here, that meeting was declared by the current KDHX board chair as an invalid meeting. And so our election was declared as invalid.
I see. Mm-hmm. And so therefore you do not get to sit on, this is the board of 12 to 15 individuals?
No, there are actually 6 right now.
6 right now. So this would have been a board of 6 individuals?
We would have made it 9.
You would have made it?
I think we would have made it 10 at the time. I think there were 7.
Okay, that's fair.
2 have quit, and 1 just passed in January.
Oh, sorry to hear that. Yep. Our condolences. Yep. With that being stated, by sitting on the board, do you feel, does the board control whether Kelly Wells has a job or not, or is this a decision, this is a board decision?
I believe the board is the only body that can control Kelly Wells in that position.
Now, this is kind of like cities. This is like cities where they have a council, the councilmen and the council ladies and the council persons, right? And then the council usually controls whether they have a city manager or the this and the that. Like, I understand how that works because of things in my life. I understand very well. Do you feel that if you would have gotten on that board, Kelly would have gone down? Like, this would have changed and you guys would have been able to remove her from her position?
It's an interesting question. There were some other board members on at the time who have since left.
Okay.
Who might have, it'd be a lot of speculation, but I think there might have been a different balance of power at that time if we had been allowed to participate in the board.
Now, there was a lot of musicians that signed a letter recently in support of all of this that we're talking about here on the show. Mm-hmm. So if Executive Director Kelly Wells and Board President Gary Pearson have emphasized positive results and enthusiasm for the new direction, right? Could it be that these changes are actually beneficial for the station in the long run? Is it possible? That's my question. Is it possible that some of the changes that they're making, like I'm not saying, because think about this, and the reason I ask this is because stations do go through change.
Oh, yeah.
Who they are today is not who they were 20 years ago.
Sure.
And so this could be the natural upheaval process. I'm not saying that this is proper, right? Obviously, we have the leveled allegations. We have this kind of tit for tat that we've discussed. But at the same point, I have to ask, like, maybe that there's some natural upheaval that was going on up front in the situation. Those individuals involved didn't like what was going on, so it became this over here, and then it kind of rolled out because everybody was kind of tit for tat at each other. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, maybe that was the original attempt. Maybe it wasn't this like nefarious plot to like fire everybody and get rid of all these volunteers, because that seems like a really dumb thing to do when you're counting on them to be the ones who actually pot the stuff up on the board and talk to the people, like Roy.
Well, I would say no, because we actually put together a strategic plan in 2019. There's a 4-year plan for 2020 to 2024. Pretty much none of that plan was accomplished under the current leadership, and most of that plan would have had a similar effect in increasing diversity in volunteers, in the staff, in the board. We were all very much on board with change happening at the station, but that change didn't happen under Kelly's leadership. The only change that happened was in policies, bylaws.
That's fair.
None of the volunteer diversity, board diversity, staff diversity that we all wanted, that we had a very intentional strategic plan to accomplish, none of that happened. So over the course of those 3 years, none of that was accomplished, and she's trying to do this in about a month's time, which is really damaging to the station, it's damaging to the community, it's damaging to their financial stability.
Now, what if we found out, and I'm just asking, right? What if we found out that there was some type of background in history to where there was harassment from Mr. Ray, okay? And I'm not saying that there is. I'm saying, what if this had existed and we find out at a later point in time and we go, oh my God, they were trying to make a tough decision at the time. They found out this stuff. We didn't find out until much later ourselves. Doesn't individuals in those positions, I'm just asking, have the right to make tough decisions? If not, go ahead, Roy, if you needed to. Go ahead, take that one. I have no problem with who takes it.
Well, yes.
And I'm curious.
Yeah. But there's this little thing called, I don't know.
Ethics?
Ethics, but just credulity and just, it's sort of like when the person making the accusation of harassment and bullying has been credibly accused of the same.
Sure.
And is then wielding that as a cudgel against an outspoken critic of hers, which is absolutely clear. Tom was a critic of Kelly. He did so off air, never did so on air, which would have been a violation of his contract.
But you have the right to criticize or be critical of other individuals. There's tons of people that are critical of me at this station. So
and so terminating someone like Tom Ray in that fashion, and then claiming that it was a long pattern of harassment and bullying, strikes many people as unpersuasive.
That's right.
No evidence was provided, and that a form of frankly, projection.
And by the way, I was using Tom in that situation as an example with what I was discussing, the point of the leadership and the tough decisions.
Could you imagine not wanting to be as close and personal friends as you could be with the guy who owns vintage vinyl?
That's
like,
true.
Why wouldn't you want that to be like your
part of your thing?
Total bro.
Well, that's what it was. That was the marriage there, right there. That was the marriage. It was that. It was,
your vinyl collection
this is the classic guy. Yeah, that's what. Before we get out of here, and I don't know how much time you guys have left, if you're sticking around or not.
Way to go.
But if you are getting out of here, I do want to know real quickly, what are you guys looking for now? Like, where are we at now, Roy? What's everybody's expectations? Kind of like, where are we at with this whole situation?
Well, I think where we're at, there's a couple things. We didn't talk about the fact there has been some legal action to try to get Courtney and Darian and Kip Louie seated. So we did retain a lawyer to work on this. We filed a case. It is moving through the courts.
They have injunctions going on.
So we're hoping that that is going to be helpful to our cause. If it's not, we're going to continue fighting for what is just and fair and just proper for KDHX in terms of its mission, which is building community through media. That is not what is happening right now.
I'm not going to lie to you. I've had a lot of people come on my show over the years, St. Louisans. You two have come on here and represented your side of this story extremely well. I really do appreciate both of you for taking the time to come on our show and even discuss these things with us. But also, more than that, I appreciate guys like Roy trying to put that effort in on a great radio station and trying to keep it out there and trying to help St. Louis be the best that it possibly can be. And shame on you, KDHX management and leadership, for acting the way that you're acting in this situation. Yes. These are volunteers. This is a simple sit down and have a conversation. And by the way, you do it on behalf of the city of St. Louis. You see, I don't care what you think, Kelly Wells, because I run my own stuff. Do you understand?
What is happening?
You ain't ever going to get me off my game.
Yeah, Kelly Wells.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
I just like saying her name.
I'm going to take a quick break here on the show. When we come back, either I'm going to have these two people with me to talk more things in this world, or they're not going to be here. I don't know. They're going to have run away from the station after me screaming a second ago, okay? But if it is time for you guys to get out of here, thank you so much for being on the show. We really do appreciate you being on the show. Thank you so much, Roy. Thank you so much, Courtney.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate your time and your efforts.
Blink twice if you can stay.
Yeah. We'll be back right after this. AM, KYRO, 102.5 FM, WIBH. Welcome back to the QNow. Mark Bland, Jason Call over there.
Hello.
And our friend Roy Caston, as well as Courtney Dottle. They have taken leave after our KDHX conversation that we just had.
Yeah.
And I do need to let everybody know about something that is coming up. That's right. On Friday, March 15th. That's right. Mm-hmm. Coming up, Friday, March 15th, 7:30 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. at Andre's in Sunset Hills. That's Andre's at 13366 West Watson Road in St. Louis. They are going to be having mouse races. That's right. That's going to be a benefit with Diva Copperfield. Diva Copperfield. Something like that.
It's a cool
tables,
name, too.
They have tables that are still left over. They've got an open bar. Tables of 8 are $200. 50-50 raffle. Music and dancing. Bring your own food, of course. There is going to be some shows that are included and some fun.
That sounds like a good
that is going to be happening.
You know what? Come on. That sounds fun.
It does sound fun.
Right?
So
that
if you get a chance.
Small town vibes in a bigger area. St. Charles, St. Peter's, O'Fallon is a pretty large area.
Correct.
So it's that sort of, Warrenton County.
Well, this is down in
area.
South St. Louis. This is down in Andres.
But you know what I mean? It's that small town style carnival.
Have you ever gone to mouse races? Have you ever done the mouse races?
I have not.
See, and here's the funny thing.
Something similar, like
you and
pigs.
me have never done mouse races.
No.
I have talked about mouse races on my shows before.
No.
I have talked to my wife about mouse races coming up.
I'm not gonna lie,
but we've never gone to
weird.
mouse races, and I think that that's a fun night.
It could be, or I could get arrested.
It's possible. That could happen to any of us out there. Anyway, Friday, March 15th at Andres in Sunset Hills. It is mouse races, 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. Table of $8, $200. They are still looking for people, so you can search that up, or you could call Andres in Sunset Hills, and I'm sure that they could get you in contact with these individuals so that you could buy a table if you'd like. So thank you so much to them. And, man, that conversation that we just had.
Yes.
I think what really strikes me the oddest about all of it is that volunteer aspect.
Yeah. Right. That's like, hey, thanks for giving me this free time. I'm going to be a big jerk because I want to do weird stuff at the station. It's just like, there's a lot of people that want to live in the past where you can just do things and be mean.
Yeah.
They just want to be able to just be mean to you and not like you because they don't like gay people or black people.
I also feel like, especially since 2016, since the election of Donald Trump specifically, and that 4 years of his presidency.
Miracle Grow on ads.
Which, by the way, that 4 years of his presidency is what leads into 2019 and 2020.
Yes.
Which is the time period where Roy said that all the KDH stuff started to
conspiracy stuff.
The cracks start to show in the building. But that's also when the tit for tat starts. And if you remember, there's nobody who loves tit for tat more than Donald Trump. And I feel like this is a situation where these things popped up and these individuals watched how people were reacting on social media over that 4 years of Donald Trump, and they were slowly getting to the point where they wanted to tit for tat on everything. And so the minute you blame this on me, I'm blaming this on you.
And the thing is, you can't go tit for tat with him because he'll bring it down to like childlike level.
Yeah.
He'll like call you like a turd monkey, like a kid would, and you've got nowhere to go. Where do you go with that? You can't attack a child. What do you say back to that? And that's basically what he does. He finally gets down to just calling them personal attacks that are juvenile.
So let's get on to some business. Let me get to one of our other topics for today, sir. Nikki Haley spits right in Donald Trump's face by refusing to endorse him as she officially suspended her campaign for president this past week. An unprecedented rebuke to the leader of her own party. This is absolutely devastating for Trump's 2024 chances. It is now up to Donald Trump to earn the votes of those in our party and beyond it who did not support him, said Haley in her speech to South Carolina. And I hope he does that. This is now his time for choosing. Of course, we all know that Trump will absolutely do nothing to attract hesitant voters to his cause. He'll continue spreading insane lies about the 2020 election and touting overtly fascist policies, obviously, because that's what he's been doing. Remember, everybody.
Whooping up a bunch of lunatics.
I saw a poll that just came out that said a majority of Republican voters are denying, flat out denying, or acting as if Donald Trump did not verbally and observably state that he would on day one, but only for one day, for one day, play dictator in the United States of America. He did say that. And that is an actual statement from Donald Trump's mouth. That's not a lie.
I personally know a guy that didn't know that Donald Trump was on tape asking for 11,780 votes. He didn't even know that existed.
Oh yeah,
until I showed it to him, and he was shocked. It was like Luke with Darth Vader. I mean, he was like, "What?" And that's when I thought it's not the people necessarily. It's their media, where they're getting their news from, and it's Fox and Newsmax and online. They're not getting it. They don't even know. That guy didn't even know that Donald Trump called the Secretary of State of Georgia and told him to find him votes so he could win. That's crazy.
Nikki Haley not endorsing Donald Trump. You know what that just tells me, dude? There are some seriously deep rifts inside, but there's some seriously deep.
He went after her husband. That's personal. To her, hopefully. Not to Ted Cruz or Mitch McConnell. But.
Right. But there are some seriously deep rifts inside of that. Now, here's the funny thing, ladies and gentlemen. Then a Mitch McConnell, as you just brought up a name, he turns around and he endorses Donald Trump.
Right? He called his wife Chow Chow in a demeaning way.
Yes.
And you endorse that guy? Are you crazy?
This is also the same Mitch McConnell, take it with a grain of salt for what it is, that also froze at 2 different times during speeches that he was giving.
He's quitting, come on.
And he's stepping away, which is fine, which we all talked about on the show a few weeks ago. He's stepping away finally. But this endorsement of Donald Trump is weird because you're the one who stood there on January 6th in front of the whole world on TV and said that this man is the reason of this situation. It was crazy and it was out of control. And even if you remember at the time, what's her name? The governor or the candidate for governor down there in Georgia, because they were having the runoff vote or whatever at the exact same time. She even came up crying the night during it because she was a senator or whatever, and she was running for the position. And she was running for her seat, if I remember. I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Yeah, I know you're talking about that.
But she even was like, oh, rah, and against everybody. And then the minute January 6th happened earlier that night, she was like, in light of what has happened, this is out of control.
Yeah,
this
is
is
that blonde
wild.
chick or whatever, Lori something or something?
This is wild.
Lori Loeffler, maybe? Is that
maybe, yeah, that might be
something
it.
like that, or... But I know
Loeffler. It might be Loeffler.
Like if I
Loeffler.
saw a picture of her, because she famously went on the floor and said that she
started to cry almost.
She no longer objects. Yeah,
right, and that is what should be the result of seeing January 6th happen. That should be what makes your head spin around and makes you go, this is not what I want happen. Guys, people got hurt on January 6th. Conservatives love to famously throw the name Ashley Babbitt around.
Yeah.
The female who left her family, her son and her husband, in San Diego to get on a plane on the days before January 6th, fly out to Washington, D.C., to be involved, and then when she was told multiple times not to come through that door because to stay back, to stay down, stand down, to an armed Capitol Police officer, she gets shot and killed, and it's a conspiracy there for everybody on the conservative side, but for everybody else, it's like, no, this is another example of a person who got hurt on that day for no reason whatsoever other than this man named Donald Trump is such a little person that he pushed everybody and told them what they wanted to hear.
But imagine thinking that Ashley Babbitt was murdered, but George Floyd deserved it. That's their thinking. Ashley Babbitt, she was killed. But like George Floyd and that other, what's the other guy from Minnesota who was shot sitting in the car? He had a gun permit and he was getting ready to tell the cop, and the cop shot him. I can't remember his name.
Oh, Philindo Castile? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah. Same thing. You know, he wasn't killed, but Ashley Babbitt committing a crime in your face. You can see her climbing through a window after being told to halt. But she was murdered. The
one that always blew my mind at that time when a bunch of those types of shootings were happening was the one where the guy was in the argument on the passenger side outside by the front hood with the police officer. He decides to walk away from the police officer, hands in the air, all the way around the front of the car. Police officer pulls his gun out, starts to point it at him. He opens his door. The officer says, "Stop, do not get into that car." He just starts to get into the car, and his back is still turned to the officer. The officer just starts shooting him in the back. That was the one that always blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, why? That and the Wendy's parking lot one. Though the Wendy's parking lot one always came off as it was kind of a little bit justified to me because
the car hits him or whatever.
No. This is where the police officer fires the taser and then eventually pulls his gun.
Oh, okay.
He fires the taser. Around. He fires the taser and misses the guy in the Wendy's parking lot, and then he pulls his gun out, telling him to stop, and he shoots in the back.
Remember the guy, was it in South Carolina, that shot the black guy running away, and then he's caught on video dumping a gun? Remember that guy?
Listen.
What an idiot.
America, we need to have a serious conversation, okay? After that Kansas City shooting, after all these school shootings over the last few years, like,
calm down, people.
You need to, and January 6th, just a few years before that, you people, listen, they called the 1920s the what?
The Roaring 20s.
But what is going on in this 20s? Because this is roaring too. And by the way,
it's not from parties either.
By the way, we're going to talk about other things here on the show. Super Tuesday. Well, we can talk about Super Tuesday, but ladies and gentlemen, Super Tuesday kind of went the way everybody expected.
I didn't even think
Joe Biden wasn't going to have anybody who was going to take him out. And
did you see he lost America Samoa like 91 people
to the
voted?
one guy?
Yeah, some dude who wasn't even
who said that
like
he was very popular in the mainland. Which, by the way, none of us think that you're popular, right? Rosenblum or whatever your name was.
More of a joke vote, but Newsweek was like, Joe Biden, first president to lose primary in 50 years or something like that. It's like, are you kidding me? It's a place.
But this is what I'm
90
saying.
90 people voted.
This is what I'm saying. Everybody knew what was going to happen, and Trump got exactly what he wanted. The Vermont thing was a little surprising. I'm not going to lie. Vermont was a little surprising.
I was shocked. That should frighten those guys. 'Cause where those other 30% go matter.
It does.
And if half of them don't vote for him, he's done.
Like I said, November to January is just going to be absolutely unhinged in America, dude. It's going to be unhinged from November through January.
He's either going to run a campaign or he's going to have a stroke. Because if he was really having this much trouble getting this money together and his stuff gets seized, he's going to lose it.
Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, old Adolf made his way to prison also.
Right?
And he
wrote a book there.
And he then became a dictator.
Got out and they were like, you know what? Things are so bad. Let's let this dude fix it.
It's kind of like what fascists do, guys.
Enough of them were like, he hates the people I hate. Guess what? He really hates them.
We even got Taylor Swift going out of her way to tell people to get out and vote, which is nice.
That should scare him too.
That should, because he has
Those people are fine, nice people.
Trump has gone out of his way to let everybody in America know that he has social media influence and he loves to wield it. And he loves to throw it at people. And there are a bunch of very famous, politically motivated actors, musicians, and popular people out there that also have huge fan bases. And they can wield their fan bases how they see fit, too. And I understand that an Elon Musk doesn't like this. This is why he keeps trying to tell everybody that it's the new media, that traditional mainstream media is dead, and the new media and the place to be is Twitter, because that's where real media is. And it's like, no. You don't like the fact that real media tells the truth, and it catches you all the time.
He might have the largest percentage of followers that hate him of any celebrity.
Who?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Because he's got 140-some, and millions of them, probably 20, 30% hate him.
Put a pin in that. We're going to talk about that when we come back. We'll be back on the QNow right after this.
We the best music.
Another one.
DJ Khaled.
Calling my phone like I'm locked up nonstop. From the plane to the helicopter, yeah. Cops pulling up like I'm giving drugs. Nah. I'm a pop star, not a doctor.
12:80 a.m.
Like I'm locked up.
KYRO, the QNow. Welcome back, Jason Cole.
Welcome.
Little Drake for you out there.
Yeah.
Hey.
Welcome back to the QNow. We were talking about Elon Musk before we went to break.
Terrible human being.
And you were talking about the fact that there are so many people out there in the world that hate him.
Yes, they follow him to see what he says because they hate it.
They physically just do not like this human being.
He doesn't have followers because people want to hear what he says.
Now,
some do. I mean, there's a majority that do. They're all weird. They're totally weird. Crypto guys and Elon Musk guys are usually the same, but they're just
frat boys.
They're the weirdest. They're the frat boys of today. Like, they're what frat boys were in, like, 1996.
Okay,
95.
okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I see where you're going.
Oh, get out.
Yes.
And now they're online and they're everywhere. Ugh.
Now,
there's so much muting.
It is $11 or $22 a month to get the premium version, if I am correct, of Twitter. right? And that gives you unlimited
Dope.
everything. I think it gives you like Elon's private cell phone. You can call it. Here's the funny thing. I don't ever have a problem with the scientific analytical side of Elon Musk.
No.
The moves that he makes, the idea, he can be very brilliant when he wants to be. We'll be the first to admit that. But it's where the brilliance ends and the personal who I am day to day as a person begins.
Yeah.
That's where Elon loses it for most people.
Like there's just enough. Like the only way I'm paying $22 is if I'm getting like 75,000 views of everything I put out there, and my kickback from that profit sharing thing that they're doing is thousands of dollars. Like if I'm getting $7,500 a month from ad revenue from my post because I repost the cool things and get tons of views, because there's a lot of accounts like that. I would do that. I would pay then. But if I'm, getting 650 views, I'm not paying anything.
You're not going to pay for that at all.
It's like paying for Tubi or something.
I want to move on.
What are you doing?
I want to move on because I did mention at the top of the show, sir, that it is National Procrastination Week.
What? Huh?
We're in the middle of National Procrastination Week, and I would have told you sooner.
I didn't know.
It just took me a little while to get around to it.
I didn't realize we were celebrating.
If you're wondering why you procrastinate, researchers from Ohio State University, Jason,
lazy idiot,
just reported on a link between our attitudes and our actions, particularly when we're approaching tasks that we don't want to do. There's a term called valence weighting bias, which describes how much someone is influenced to act by drawing more on their positive or negative attitude.
Mine's 0.
The studies were complicated, but basically they found that people were less on the ball about something if they dreaded the idea of it more than they were excited about the positives. So like feeling good about completing your taxes or setting things in motion to get a tax refund. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that is like the catalyst.
Yeah.
Of course, you can incentivize people to procrastinate less, Jason. Yeah. And the effect is more prominent when people don't think about a task and is less of a factor when people are motivated to think about it. This may sound a little unsurprising, and maybe that's because we usually know why we're putting something off, but we still do it anyway, Jay. That said, they do note that valence weighting bias can lead to another kind of procrastination if your attitude is too positive, like putting off studying for a test because you feel confident about it and you believe that you're already prepped when you're actually not.
Procrastinating, but stupidly.
So, like a lot of things, balance is best.
You're doing things that you shouldn't be doing because you're dumb.
Right, but you have to be balanced.
Right, yeah,
in your life.
Procrastination. You can't be high strung and wound up all the time, man.
Do you feel that we as a society overall have become? Now, I'm going to say that before I even make this comment, I'm going to say that I have not noticed myself personally seeing it more often, but maybe you see it differently.
Let me hear it.
Do you feel that over the last 30 years, let's say, going back to like 94 to 90, somewhere in that range. So since 1990.
That's prime Jason years.
30 years. Do you feel the United States and the people of it, maybe even the world, could be the whole world, could be,
yes,
are more into procrastinating now because of like cellular devices?
Yeah.
YouTube, or, social media.
You know what? A lot of it might be procrastinating because things exist where they can do it so much faster now they can.
You know what? I think that
like
there is
schoolwork and stuff.
There is a little bit, and I've seen this. I've seen this rear its ugly head a few times with my own kids. This idea of hurry up and then wait. Like you have all this time to like kill after you hurry up and do it real quick. So I'm seeing the younger sect in my case. They're not being as detail oriented on the moves that they're making as they might have been 30 years ago, let's say.
Like, think about when we went to school, having a device that would write you a 3-page paper with citations in like 20 seconds.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
Nuts.
See, that's the thing. You see, a cell phone is a beautiful device because it fits in my pocket.
There's more power in these cell phones than
our first computers.
Than on the Apollo missions. So.
it fits in my pocket. On it has movies I can watch. It has videos I can peruse. It has
control other things with it.
Social media. I can turn lights on my house on and off with it. I can also text and interact with other people around. But here's the thing.
I can use it on my TV.
It's all in one device in my pocket. And you know why we didn't have that problem in 1992?
It was one there.
Because Simon was this big around, and it was awkward to carry places. And even that Merlin red thing back when we were kids, that had all the red buttons, looked like a telephone. Even that thing was like awkward and large. Those Coleco football games, the ones with the red dot lines, in it, even those were awkward to put in your pocket. Everything we had up until pagers was awkward to like hold on to.
You go to the doctor and you bring the game of Life. You like get it out, put it on the floor. You're playing Life with your kid. Like you would to the doctor now. You hate your kid your phone. They're playing a video game. They're playing a board game on a video game of a board game that we would have to bring with us to do that.
And that's the thing that once again. For us, we would have had Trivial Pursuit, right? Like
we would have brought a stack of cards.
We would have bring the stack of cards at minimum.
Yeah,
and that's a big box that's awkward.
Sure,
we have to carry it with us.
It'll take a little bit.
This fits in our pocket. We can run with this thing.
Endless.
Like endless.
You could go from edition to edition to edition.
And listen,
forever.
I can play like 4,000 billion. That's not even another 4,000 gazillion trivia games on here.
Right.
I could play Whose Line Is It Anyway? I could play fifth grader, like Smarter Than a Fifth Grader. I could play Millionaire. I could play Who's the Deal or No Deal. I could play all the famous games. Whammy, No Whammy, No Whammy.
You can play. Remember the 1980s the cartoon video game was it Dragon's Lair?
Oh, yeah.
You can play that. There's an app of that, and it looks just like it. It's so much fun.
On here, there is a game that emulates Tecmo Bowl. It's called Retro Bowl.
That's the best.
It's right here on my phone. I can pull it up anytime. And I can literally just play a game of Tecmo Bowl anytime I want to. There's a college version. There's a regular version. That's what I'm saying. Like, the things that we can do. And this is why when we were talking about Elon earlier, okay? And I know I switched it up to talk about national procrastination, and I was talking about procrastination, but listen, this is why I don't mind an Elon Musk, because these are the types of ideas that come from brains like that eventually get done. Like right now, he's thinking about taking Twitter, X, whatever he's calling it, right? And turning it in your way to make phone calls to people. He wants to put out personal cell phone devices that are X and Twitter branded like Apple. Like his own version of phones, and that utilize his system, his operating system. He wants to create all of this because he gets it now. He understands that if he stays where he's at, he can be super rich. But nobody respects him. They respect Bill Gates. They respect Steve Jobs.
He's a vulture.
They respected those guys. If he pulls off a Steve Jobs, he thinks that's going to be that guaranteed respect, Jay.
Did you see that guy that he put that chip in? Can change the TV with his mind?
That's great.
That's insane.
That's awesome.
On?
This is what we're talking about.
What's to stop him from like zapping our brains with his
Why does he have to mess with social media? Why does he have to mess with other parts of the world?
Remember we said
listen.
We said he's a Bond villain.
Listen. Who's your favorite baseball player of all time?
Ryan Sandberg.
It's Ryan Sandberg.
He's the best.
Now, let me tell you.
Such a nice guy.
If I was like, hey, Ryan Sandberg is going to host the QNow tomorrow.
Woo! That'd be great.
But you and me aren't going to be there, Jay. It's just going to be hosted by Ryan Sandberg.
I know where you record.
But you'd be like, you first off, you would stop and look at me and go,
super normal, and just
why would weirdo creep?
I wouldn't be crazy or not. Just be like,
no.
Oh my God, I'm out in the.
But you would be like, Mark,
see you there.
Ryan Sandberg plays professional baseball. He doesn't host a political radio show. Why would you have that man do that job? That doesn't make any sense. And most people would go, yes, he is a professional baseball player. That doesn't make any sense. So when Elon bought Twitter, we were all like, why are you getting involved with Twitter or anything social media wise?
Ruin it.
It has nothing to do with your world whatsoever. Just leave it alone. Like, this has nothing to do with you. But of course, well enough can't be left alone in this world anymore since Donald Trump became president. Ever since him, it becomes I want this. I'm just going to do whatever I want, right? Whether it's Roseanne Barr shooting off her mouth and losing a whole TV show and her whole career in the middle of the night, or it's
Now
Elon
she's just on
Musk,
crazy radio.
or Elon Musk overvaluing a company by $25 billion and then not having the money to pay for it.
That would have been great to have been one of the Twitter shareholders that took a payout and split, because once he took over, Twitter just dove to the ground. He lost billions for so many millionaires between Tesla and Twitter stock, because Twitter stock or Tesla stock in like 2019, 20 was 400 and something a share. It's 180 now, and that's because of him, because of his crazy nonsense.
You know what I forgot to do with Roy, as well as our friend Courtney when they were here? We forgot to put them on the hot seat.
We'll have to get them back.
See, that's what I'm saying. If they would have stuck around, which is not a problem, we appreciate them being on.
It's not a whole show yet.
It's not. It's
like being called up at the end of the season.
We could bring them back in for the last piece, like the last piece. Yeah. No. They had a heart out, and so we really did appreciate them coming in and being on the show. It was awesome. But I have these hot seat questions.
They didn't procrastinate.
That I wasn't able to rip off and rattle to these individuals. And now, Jason.
I guess. I mean, I'm here. You're here.
No one else is here.
I won't tell anyone.
I'm going to have to ask you these questions and maybe play along with you. So maybe we'll see. Let's lead into the break with one real quick. Okay. Question number one.
Mm-hmm.
What is a random rule of your house that you refuse to break or allow anyone else to break? A rule of the house that you refuse to break.
What do we do?
I expect.
Maybe I expect everyone to take care not to let this cat out that we have. That's something that everyone
it's a rule that you refuse to break yourself.
Yeah, no, you don't let him out. He's quick. He'll bolt. He doesn't do it so much anymore. He's a little more used to us. But we rescued him. We had a cat that got hit by a car, and our son really wanted another cat, so we got this cat. He's a little feral, and he was always
He's a little feral.
He was trying to get outside all the time. Well, now he's super cool, but every now and then when spring comes around, he's kind of like, what's going on?
He gets a little wild?
Yeah, I mean, he's
maybe
neutered.
Is he in heat?
No, he's neutered, but he's still got a little tomcat in him.
A little bit, huh?
A little bit. And he's
to get out there,
too, man.
He likes to tangle it up.
He's a big cat.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, he can probably take care of himself out there.
I'm trying to think of a house rule that I have or something.
I don't have any that's like exclusively mine. I mean, we have everything.
I have.
Be nice,
listen. I will say this. I will say this. I like to have lots of variety smell hand soap in my bathrooms. Like, I don't like the same thing over and over. So I like
to it?
as the seasons change, I like my smells to change.
My wife does that.
That's
with
like
the
my
plug-ins
rule.
and
That's
the
like a
wax and
personal.
that.
That's a personal rule.
Yeah,
like I have
Febreze
that.
double ones and the wax and all that.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
rotated out as the season progresses.
No. My wife famously makes fun of me. Light bulbs and laundry detergent. I'll go smell every laundry detergent and I'll look at all the light bulbs and read all the information on them and everything. I don't know why it is. I'm a weirdo, I guess. That makes me a weirdo, a weird creep, huh?
Like early September, it's pumpkin into cinnamon into like pine, and then it starts to get to more like a
flowery,
late summery. Yeah, you start getting a little hint,
of
like lavender in
Febreze,
there.
a little lavender in there.
And then we get into Hawaiian stuff.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break here on the QNow. When we come back, I'm going to have some more questions for our boy Jay. But Jason, one thing I do want to talk to you are top food turnoffs.
Ooh.
Including picking your teeth and slurping that soup. We're going to talk about that when we come back right after this.
She screams in silence, a sullen riot penetrating through her mind.
1280 AM KYRO.
Waiting for a sign.
102.5 FM. WIBH. Welcome back to the QNow. A little Green Day for you on this Saturday.
Remember when you heard that for the first time?
Oh, yeah, dude. It blew my mind. I was a senior in high school.
Went back and found those other two independent ones and was like, this band's awesome.
Yeah.
Then you saw Woodstock. Oh, come on.
Definitely a fan. Oh, the mud fight? Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, my
throw
God.
mud
Yes, it was
back.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Jason, before we went to break,
Yeah.
I had hot seat questions
Yeah, it was a good one, too.
that I was doing with you, and it was a good one. So I'm going to present you with another good one. I had some good hot seat questions, and I don't want to let these go to waste, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, you can always find us at theqnow.com. Old episodes, new episodes, everything in between. You can also follow us on Twitter at Mark Bland, MarkBland, and that's Featherbangs over there.
Oh, it's glorious.
Oh, it is. It's who it is.
You can call me a pedophile on the sicko.
That's what they do. That's all they do online. They just call everyone pedophiles and
That's
sickos
true.
constantly.
No matter what.
It doesn't matter what the topic is. Somebody
That was
is
the answer
going
to
to
that.
level an
Talking
accusation.
about crime. You sicko pervert.
Outlandish.
What's wrong with you,
It's
man?
just outlandish how all this stuff. And I'm not saying that there aren't pedophiles out there. Me and Jason do not like pedophiles. We think they're
No,
horrible,
of
horrible
course not.
human beings.
We
Everyone
don't,
thinks
like,
that
we're
they're
not
horrible human
rage
beings.
over it. We're not going to set up people.
All right, let's get into this.
Suspicious.
Let's get into this, Jay. What is the superior form of question number 2? What is the superior form of potato?
Ooh.
Fries, mashed,
That's
tots,
tough.
or au gratin?
Wow. That's hard.
Now, the superior form for me personally
Yes.
is au gratin. Okay, so if I was to break this down in order, it would go au gratin.
We always called it
then
scalloped.
It would go au gratin, then tots, then fries, then mashed. I like mashed the least. I don't hate mashed. I don't
me
mind
either,
it.
me either.
It's just my
I'm
least
with you, I'm
favorite
with you.
form.
I like, if it's tots, I like the crispy crowns.
Sure, yeah,
The
the little
Rhino
round-
ones.
yeah,
the
the little
round
round
ones.
ones, yeah.
Man, those are so good.
They are fantastic.
And then maybe like a really loaded baked potato, followed real close by like maybe an Arby's curly fry or Rally's fries.
Okay,
That's
so
good stuff.
So you like
And
the
then
baked,
down with mashed.
So
You can do
baked
stuff with mashed,
a potato,
but,
but I guess mashed is in the baked potato area. Would it? I don't know.
Sort of. I mean, if you whip it up real good.
I mean, you could mash it, right? Obviously.
Now, you know what? A twice baked mashed potato, though, like we were talking
Oh
about.
yeah, they're fantastic.
That's pretty good.
It is pretty good. But then you're cheating. Now you're adding bacon bits. You're adding all kinds of stuff.
garlic
Like
and all that.
that's why I
becomes a
personally
dish.
feel that au gratin is the best when
those are
with,
good too.
With a nice brown, golden kind of like crispy top to
Yeah.
them, and then
With like a
underneath,
nice pork chop, maybe.
So delicious when
Carrots or asparagus or some green beans.
you. Oh yeah. Question number 3.
Are you listening, Denny's?
What is a strange habit that you picked up from a significant other or a friend? I know one. My friend, my friend who passed away a few years ago.
Dude, drugs.
He hold on. No, I mean, it depends on what you want your strange habit to be. But my friend, he had a deal. His thing was any significant male birthday party after 21. His thing was I always bring them a bottle of liquor as my gift. And I picked that up from him, and I was like, you know what? That's actually not a bad idea. And
No, people bring wine all the time.
The majority of my friends, a bottle of Fireball, a whiskey,
You can get that for
this,
about $14.
Maker's Mark, whatever.
Ooh,
you
that's
know,
good
you can
stuff.
give people like these gifts
That's
like that.
expensive stuff.
But they like that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to pay $20 for a gift anyway. Here's $20 in liquor for you to enjoy.
My cool uncle, he likes Maker's Mark.
So, is there a habit that you just drugs? That's it.
Just drugs.
Just drugs.
Hardcore drugs. For
Nothing
about
else.
6
Jay?
months.
Just hardcore drugs. That's all you picked
Parties,
up.
pure parties. Now, from a significant other friend, maybe some of my thinking through has been kind of shaped a little bit. Some of what I used to think is like, wait a minute, now. You know what I've noticed? Like people I've known from growing
Could
up.
be your mom or dad. You could have picked up a habit from them that they did that you always do now and you always have for years.
Maybe the way I look at things, where I nothing really bothers me to the point where I'm going to take it out on someone else.
Right. Okay.
I hardly ever react poorly to someone because of something I'm mad at or that I have to deal with.
Now, see, that is not me. I get angry sometimes.
And that's okay. It
because I'm a
happens.
human being.
Because I
But
super feel like I want
also lash out at everything and everyone around me. And it doesn't matter if I'm at the grocery store. It doesn't matter if I'm at a restaurant. It doesn't matter if I'm at my house. It doesn't matter if I'm at the basketball court. It could be in the wrestling ring. It could be anywhere. If at that time, sometimes if I get angry, a certain style of angry, like angry enough, you know what I'm saying? I'm not that. I do take things to heart.
Yeah.
I'm not that person who just lets things go all the time. Question number 4.
Yes.
It's a good question. What would you be doing if you weren't doing what you do currently in your life?
Wow, huh?
Like instead of your current profession or whatever you do in your life now, what would you be doing?
You know, I can honestly say I've lived in my hometown.
I probably would have been an auto mechanic myself.
Yeah?
Probably.
Yeah, well, you'll get that from family. But I've lived down here about the same amount of time I grew up in my hometown, and I like the person I am now here.
You really are? You really
Yes.
do like the person today?
Yes.
Better than where you grew up?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because it's hard to be a good person where I grew up. There's so many bad people. Just for no reason.
You think they're just
bad.
all bad people?
Not all. Not all. It's more my generation. My mom and dad have friends that are just fantastic people.
Yeah,
but their kids didn't turn out so great.
Gen X, typically as people, do not have what I consider friend groups per se.
Yes.
Like they don't have like our moms and dads had parties where they would have like 3 or 4 groups of friends over.
I had pockets of friends through time.
Or they would take trips with them or whatever.
Yeah, I would be real good friends with for a little bit, and then we'd lose touch, and I'd get another nice tight group. I didn't want to have one of those like parties where 45 people show up, you know? It's a short group of guys. Where if something happens, you got 5 or 6 guys if you need it. But if nothing's going on, you get 2-3 guys with you, and it's a good, fun night.
And the final question, sir. The final question of this hot seat that was well crafted. Well crafted.
It was good.
Do you have a shower cup? A cup that stays in the shower for filling with water to clean or wash walls or whatever. See, I don't have
one that gets swapped out.
We don't have a shower cup. We don't have a shower cup.
But we don't really have it now. We had it more when the kids were younger and took baths.
We had a cup.
Now I don't think we have one.
Yeah, we don't have a shower cup, but there are people who just have a cup in their shower. Where they just to wash the walls off with
I just cut my hand and get a little toss.
Yeah, that's what I usually do. I do a little toss hand thing. I don't really do the shower cup.
I just don't like
it. Always ends up being that cup that gets gross.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When the kids were young and took baths, we had a shower cup and we put it in the dishwasher every couple of days.
You know, remember those commercials that used to be about bathroom cleaners, and they were like, "Can they get the grime off?" Whenever they would say that and spin around and do all that, I would always think about those shower cups with all the mildew and.
My brother wrote a letter back before the internet. Wrote a letter to that company. I forget what the company is, and it's saying how much he loved their products, and they sent him back a big plastic one of those bubbles.
Really?
Yeah, like a figurine of that bubble.
That's funny, man. Right? Your brother was into that?
Yeah,
of all
stuff
things,
like that.
Of all things that he could. Yeah,
this
you know what?
We're talking 1992, 93, maybe 91.
Tell us a little bit about your brother. What's older or younger than you?
Younger. Both my brother and sister younger.
You have a brother and a sister.
Yes.
They're both younger than you.
Yes.
By how many years?
6.
On average?
6 and 7. Like they're 79, 80.
Yeah.
So they're boom, boom. And I was
and
73.
you were 7 years old at the time, right?
Yeah, 6, because it was before, because I'm born late in the year. So anything that happens earlier, I'm younger.
So since we got you on the hot seat right now.
Yeah.
Which one do you... Now, I'm not going to ask you to pick between...
One's going to fall in the river.
Between... One's going to fall in the river. One's going to get hit with a folding chair on the dock. I
and the
swear.
other one's going to get shot in the knee. Which one happens? Oh, my God.
Like the Alabama brawl.
Right,
it's just
like
smoked by lawn chairs.
Saw. What?
All right. No. I know that you're not going to choose.
No. Of course not.
One to love more than the other.
Yeah,
but
that would be insane.
Which one do you like better?
I would say each one I've needed more at the time than the other. You know what I mean? one is better at something than the other is.
What is your brother good at? What's he good for?
He was great for the hangout. My brother lived with me for a little bit.
So he was good for the hangout.
Yeah, but my sister, she's a girl. And she want to hang out with her brothers, She wants.
And she's
she
married.
Has friends.
She's
Yes.
married.
Yes.
What's her husband like? Like, how do
He's
you
very
guys
cool.
get? You guys
Very
get?
cool.
You guys get
Yeah,
along?
he's an extremely talented guitar player.
Wow, that's cool.
Yes, he teaches.
My brother-in-law plays guitar. Also, my brother-in-law.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know how good he is.
No.
Compared to that, I don't know, but I know he plays guitar. I've seen him sitting down and strumming and stuff like that, and I've heard him play, so I know he can play solidly.
Just rips it up.
Remember Bowflex?
Yeah.
Remember all? Okay.
I wonder if
what
that injured people.
What internet or late night TV exercise device?
God, I used to love watching that.
Did you ever buy or consistently use?
I bought a ab thing from at a yard
An
sale.
ab roller?
No, the one that what's the Suzanne Summers one where she puts it between her legs?
Oh yeah, the Cruncher or whatever.
Ab
it was.
Crunch or Thigh Master.
The Thigh Master, yeah.
I bought a Thigh Master at a yard sale just
so
for
the
a decoration.
Thigh Master was yours.
Yeah,
that was your thing.
I bought it for a decoration.
Now I didn't personally purchase any of these products ever.
Yeah.
But I knew a friend who had a Bowflex, and we used that thing for 3 straight years in a row, 3 straight summers in a row, working out in his garage.
Down, and this is 100 pounds.
Yeah. So I used a Bowflex, but they're filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Wow, home gyms. I guess gyms
but now
$10 now, maybe people.
But it's now. It's not 30 years ago. It's not 20 years ago.
I sold enough of them.
Yeah,
it's that internet time where it was really
that's
difficult
That's
to
the
get
thing.
a return.
I don't think of companies like Bowflex. So when a thing comes along like that, right? I'll give you a good example. How many times have you been home late at night drunk after a party?
Woohoo!
And Time Life is going to try to explain to you.
Aren't you watching that?
How many times Al Green
you know what?
was the top Billboard artist of 1976?
Speaking of coming home drunk, prime 1992, 93?
Billy Mays?
Freedom Rock.
Oh, Freedom Rock for
Watching
sure.
the Freedom Rock 30 minutes, a 60-minute one it would have, and then, like you said, Billy Mays. I used to watch all that stuff at night, all the little sales things, the kitchen devices, all that stuff. That used to be late night entertainment.
That's okay. I miss
50s TV
I
shows.
miss consistent infomercials about weird contraptions.
Yes.
As well as
buying land and stuff.
I miss that, and there's something else that I miss too. Hold on, I just had it in my head. If I remember it, I'll come back to it real quick. But I miss that.
The video shows.
And I miss going and searching for VHS tapes on Friday nights. I do miss those two things.
Setting your VCR with a timer to
record.
record.
It kind of gave you something to do. Even if you didn't have a life and you had nothing better to do, even a single guy could be like, it's Friday night. I'm going to go hit Blockbuster and see if I can grab myself a new movie.
Remember when you
dope.
figured out you could put the cords in and then you could record another show and then use your VCR and turn it to another show and watch that one while you recorded the other and you blew your mind? Now you can record 7 at a time. You can literally watch almost any movie, free or not, in America right now. If there's a movie that was made in some form or another, whether you had to pay or not, you could watch that movie today probably.
All right, Jason, before we get out of here, because it is almost time for us to get out of here.
Goodbye, everyone.
Top food turnoffs. You ready? Number 1.
Yeah.
Being rude to your server.
Yeah, that's awful. Leave them alone.
Chewing with your mouth open.
Disgusting.
Number 3, talking with your mouth full.
Yeah, a little weird.
Number
Only
4,
an emergency.
spitting something back out onto your plate. Yeah, that's
Super
always
gross.
that's a gross
Unless
one. Yeah.
that thing is disgusting or moved, there's no way.
Number 5, picking your teeth.
That's weird. Comes off
6,
as douchey.
slurping soup.
Awesome.
7, eating something off of their plate without asking. Eating something off
That
somebody
would
else.
be
Yeah,
weird.
that is a weird one. That is definitely a
for
turn off.
37 years.
That's definitely a
And
turn
I got
off.
the okay right away.
Licking your knife.
That's weird.
I don't consider that a bad thing.
It's not
though.
a turn off. It's just be careful.
Yeah, see, I don't consider that a bad
Slice
thing
your tongue.
or anything like
Tongue's
that.
kind
You
of
know what I'm
important.
saying? It just seems a little over the top there.
strange.
Criticizing the food if you stayed in and they cooked it. And
Okay, yeah,
finally, licking your fingers clean, Jason.
A little weird. Unless it's wings, then that's just a necessity.
Fair enough. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Stick yourself in the eye.
it is time for us to get out of here on this episode of the QNow. We
Bye,
want to
everyone.
thank Courtney Dowdle as well as Roy Caston for
Yeah,
coming
thank you,
and
peoples.
talking to us about KDHX. Our recommendation to our friend Miss Wells is open. You are welcome to come on the QNow if you'd like.
Love your name. I think you're.
You can check us out at theqnow.com. Old episodes, new episodes, everything in between. We're here every single Saturday, 1 to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And, man, that's going to do it for us here on this episode of the QNow.
We're just gonna
We
chill out for a
appreciate
bit.
all of you guys, and we will see you guys next time on the show.